Hello everyone, welcome to my quick review of Espgaluda 2 for the Nintendo Switch. So if you want a real in-depth nitty-gritty look at Galuda 2, have no fear, I already have that video on this channel where I compare Galuda 1 versus Galuda 2. And I give a pretty strong overview of all the extras and features of the Xbox 360 port. And the thing is, with this new Nintendo Switch port by Livewire, this is basically a one-to-one copy of the Xbox 360 port. So all the pros and extras and cool arranges that are in the 360 port are also in this Nintendo Switch port, so I don't feel the need to revisit this information once again. So instead what I'll be doing in this video is giving a quick overview for people who maybe have never played Galuda 2 before, who might be interested in it, then also analyze how does the Nintendo Switch port itself work. How does it compare to the 360 port? How is the slowdown accuracy? How is the input lag? All that sort of fun stuff. So let's begin with a quick overview of Espgaluda 2. For those who are not super familiar with Cave's library, Espgaluda 2 is the end of a sort of trilogy of games where it began with Esp, which has a very different cyberpunk theme. One of my favorite Cave games ever made, actually. You can get the PS4 port and Switch port actually, which is fantastic. Highly recommended there. But after Esp, they decided to take this series in a bit of a different direction. They made a spiritual successor to it called Espgaluda, and so the whole point of the original Espgaluda was to make a kind, gentle, easygoing entry for people to get into the bullet hell genre, especially with the added addition of that slowdown mechanic. And so if you're looking to get a 1cc in a cave shmup, Espgaluda 1 is actually a really strong place to start because it was basically designed to be that nice entry point. However, with Espgaluda 2, Cave being Cave decided, well, making a shmup that's easy to get into and all that is fine and dandy, but we're Cave, and so let's turn this up a notch, and that is what you get with Espgaluda 2. In comparison to the earlier entries in the series, this game is freaking hard. It is very challenging. The bullet patterns are dense and beautiful and cinematic and really reminiscent of what you're going to get later on in Mushihime-sama Futari. So I always like to think of Espgaluda 2 as the missing link between the original Mushi and Futari, where if you look between them, you can see a lot of similarities between the bullet patterns of Futari and the bullet patterns of Espgaluda 2. The game's art is beautiful, rich, fantastic. The soundtrack is amazing. This game is really slept on in the Cave library, I believe, and people who enjoy big old bullet cancels like you give in Futari, you're not going to go wrong with Espgaluda 2. So it is really cool to see it come to the Nintendo Switch. But again, to warn you, it is not for the faint of heart, though you can play all the extra modes and arranges which try to make things easier for you. So even if you're not ready to go full-on arcade mode, some of the arrange modes are great ways to ease your way into the game and level design. And there's a lot of content on offer here. It is pretty crazy and probably one of the most content-rich shmups Cave ever put out. That's probably why it is coming to the Nintendo Switch, because there is so much material here. It would be a shame to have it just stuck on the Xbox 360. And I will say for the PC players out there that even though I don't think this will be coming to Steam anytime soon, you can actually emulate the Xbox 360 port fairly well, though some of the soundtrack issues are iffy, but other than that, the gameplay works really well. And so speaking of gameplay and accuracy, how does the performance of the Nintendo Switch version compare to the Xbox 360 version? I think that is the golden question. And so I booted it up and I started playing and I started going through this arcade mode and training mode. The thing is that unfortunately I am not an expert in Espgaluda 2's slowdown as I am with some of the other Cave games, so I couldn't fully tell how accurate the slowdown is. However, there were sections where the slowdown was noticeable and seemed to act as it should as compared to many other Cave games. You got lots of stuff going on screen. The bullet count is really high. And so from what I'm able to gather, it does seem fairly accurate to the 360 port when it comes to the slowdown, which would make sense. So no worries there. So then the next question is, how does the input lag look on this release? And so to preface this, when I tested this on the Xbox 360 on a CRT way back in the day, it came out to 3 frames of input lag, which I consider solid input lag. Not top tier, which would be 2 frames, but still very good, 3 frames of input lag. But how does it feel on the Nintendo Switch? So again, I did my input lag testing using my Brooks board and my CRT and all that fun stuff. And I actually ended up coming out with 4 frames of input lag this time around, which kind of made sense because when I was playing it, I felt like I could feel that little extra lag as compared to the Xbox 360 port. For a lot of people out there, 4 frames is still totally acceptable, so I don't think for a lot of you this is a game breaker or anything like that. But just so you are aware, if you're planning to play a lot of Espgaluda 2 and you want to go for long sessions and everything like that, and maybe you have an Xbox 360, I personally would recommend the 360 version slightly over this version, mainly just because of that extra frame of input lag. But nonetheless, if you don't have an Xbox 360 or if you want to play this on the go, which I've been doing, or you just like to play it on the Nintendo Switch or whatever, 4 frames of input lag is not too shabby, especially on the Switch itself, which tends to have laggier releases. So Livewire coming through clutch once again. They did a fantastic job on the Mushi port, which was actually 3 frames, and this time around still solid at a 4 framer. Would be great if they could trim that down a little bit to match 1-to-1 the 360 port, but the Switch itself can be a bit of a challenge to make that happen, and I do understand that. And so yes, I do hope this was some helpful information for y'all. If you're wondering whether or not you should pick up Espgaluda 2, I would absolutely recommend it among Mushi-Misama, and of course DFK, as long as they don't screw that up. That will be another port you'll definitely want to add to your collection, and probably after that I'll do another updated video on best shmups on the Switch, because there's been a huge increase in the amount of games on the platform, which is really awesome and really impressive. And hopefully one day we see these ports come to the PS4 like they're doing with Death Smiles, because I'd love to play these on the PS4 as well, but we'll have to wait and see. So until then, please like and subscribe and share with all your friends, all that good YouTubing stuff. And keep a close eye on the channel, because over the next few weeks I got a lot of material coming out that I think you all will enjoy. And adios everyone. So thank you to the $5 patrons: 100, 72 PCT Water, Ukshay Wadker, Dingo, Another Joe, Anthony A, Aaron Solis, Ben, Borgie 22, Brian Reboot, Brian Shiver, Chris Yuzefovich, Chronic Burnout 3, Choreo, CRC Error, Danielle Savage, Darren Griffin, Delta Tango 6, Disco Star Slayer, DJ 420 Praise It, Entropy, Eric H, FCK, Frank Carter, Full Set, Retro Schmupper, Geriatric Donmaku, Hausu, Ilya, Kiwi, JLab, JB RPG, Joe Angelo, John Kelly, Gameboy Guru, K, K2, Kikoman 589, Larridge, Malaise, Mark Toms, Maz, Minung, Mechalin, Mitch LY, Queen Charlene, Nathaniel Davis, and Electron Neo Dagger Games, Oklo Kugels, Philip Mason, Portal 63, Radocat, Raul, Real Skeen, Self-Aware, Shane Shinsiansky, Sketchy Raccoon, SLW, The Boot Rex, The Real Ikuzo, TRM, Sugumo, Twilight EX, Yishi, Plasmo, and Yuzakaya. Thanks for watching.